Columbus, who's a Crusader, went to Ferdinand and Isabel because he had his eyes in Jerusalem. Remember, he grew in an environment in which he saw the loss of Jerusalem to Muslims, and he believed that the end times were going to happen within his lifetime, and he wanted to gather riches. So he convinced Ferdinand and Isabel that he would gather riches in order to fund the crusade and the reconquest of Jerusalem. Of course, he relied. Well, I'm not going to get into that, but he relied basically on Muslim astronomers and geographers, but he miscalculated his journey, particularly al-Biruni's work, and al-Farabi, actually. And anyways, he ended up reaching the shores of the Caribbean. The moment that he met the Taino people, he referred to them as savages and heathens, right? He described them as savages and heathens. Of course, you see the mimicry of this with Hernan Cortez, the conquistador, Spanish conquistador, referred to Aztec temples as Moorish mosques, Aztec women as Moorish women, Aztec weapons that were being used as scimitars, which is the Spanish name, as alfanjis, which is the English term for them is scimitars. They're the weapons that Muslims used against the Crusaders, a sort of like the curved sword that usually has Quranic verses etched on it, right? He even referred to two-spirit people who are gender non-conforming Muslims as birdah, which is this term that was cast onto gender non-conforming Muslims. Of course, that project then, after you engage in the annihilation of over 100 million indigenous people across the continent, then you engaged in slavery, or the white supremacy and the white enlightenment project, if you will, engaged in slavery, and a third and fifth of the transatlantic slaves were Muslims from the Iberian Peninsula on the west coast of Africa. What does Taghūt have to do with all this? Well, Taghūt is actually a spiritual and an ethical political orientation, just as much as Iman or believing is a spiritual ethical orientation in a different way. The orientation of Taghūt is towards the world of the above.